always feel like somebody's watching me.
And they're giving me STDs.
You're not a real man unless you got one of them.
Got a collection going. All right. Let's get this bullshitity underway.
Let's do it.
So welcome to the podcast that's unnamed still. We'll figure that out at a later date.
Thank you. It's so great to be on the podcast.
The podcast. So this is Jordan Tattoons, also non-professionally known as Jordan Grakauskas.
Close. Grakauskas.
Grakauskas.
Yeah. Missed the S.
What I had Josh on. He was like, "You forgot the Reverend."
Well, legally, I suppose that counts.
So I was like, "This is Josh Garrick," and he's like, "You forgot the Reverend and the Oshua." So,
all right, cut. Start all over.
yeah, I was like, "All right, let's do that again." Okay, so now I'm messing everybody's names up here. So I've been working with you for a couple years now. Well, how long have you been in the industry yourself?
I believe I've been tattooing for 18 years.
You're old.
Give or take. I'm very old. I think I've been with you guys for like 5.
At least,
Maybe 6.
And I mean, we were shut down for 30 years of that during, the whole pandemic thing. So, I think that put a couple of years on all of us.
Put a lot of years on a lot of us. Yeah.
So you apprenticed under somebody.
I did.
You did.
He who shall not be named. No, I'll say it was John Pinfield Wells at Black Ball Tattoo in Midland.
You have to say the entire name in its entirety.
The
like
Reverend.
The
Reverend Jonathan Pinfield Wells. Yeah.
Oshua.
English Johnny, I should
English
say.
Johnny. English Johnny, yeah. He's all right. He's a cool guy.
He's a nice guy.
Nice guy. So you did your apprenticeship with him. How long did you work there at Black Ball with him?
I want to say that was at least 2, maybe 3 years.
And then you ended up venturing out on your own.
I ventured on my own and opened up my own shop in Midland called American Revolution Tattoo.
I remember that because I designed a business card for an electric chair. Unbeknownst to me, like I didn't even know that you had that same kind of logo thing going on. I designed pretty much an identical business card to what you were using as your logo at the time. And we ran with it. And then Steve, Big Steve, Sharky Steve, Big Steve Tattoos, he came up to me and was like, "You can't fucking use that." I'm like, "Why? I totally made this in Photoshop. Like I just cut a bunch of things together." And
right.
Steve was like, "You can't use it. That's exactly what Jordan has as his logo." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, my lawyers are going to reach out to your lawyer about that.
Oh yeah. Well,
I didn't even design it, actually. Jim, remember Gentleman Jim? From
Yeah.
way back in the day?
yeah.
He designed the logo for us.
I think I still have some of his flash pieces laying around
I think
somewhere.
everyone has at least one piece of his flash sitting around somewhere.
When I worked down in Indiana, we had his flash in South Bend when I worked for Point Blank. And everybody was like, "Hey, you ever hear of this Gentleman Jim guy?" I'm like, "Bitch, please."
Right? Like, I worked with him for a year at Black Ball.
I wonder what he's up to these days.
I heard he's still at the shop in Sanford.
Oh, okay. Maybe
But
I'll
I
have to
don't
get
know if
him
that's
on the
true or not,
podcast.
But he's an interesting fellow.
Yes.
Yes. That will be hours of content for you.
Awesome. I need it. So you did the AmRev studio, and you took on an apprentice during that time too, didn't you?
Took on a few.
Couple few.
Some made it, some did not.
One in particular, and she's awesome. Our good friend Angie Akimi.
Yeah.
Angie, I hope you're listening. I hope you're checking out the podcast and
She's
you'll
amazing.
come on. She's killing it right now at the studio.
I am so proud of her.
I am too. She's a great person. She's a fantastic artist. She has a very cool style. Very, very unique, cool style.
And yet incredibly versatile. And I can't
Very
take
much
all
so.
the credit. Like, she started at Black Ball when I was there. So I wasn't like supreme mentor.
Oh, so you stole her.
So she got let go. And then when I opened my shop, I gave her a call and brought her back into the fold.
Okay.
And then between myself, Fathead, who was a piercer, and then Denny Paget, who was also a great tattooer, we all kind of just baby birded her and took her under our wing and got her up and going.
Oh, you guys did a great job because she's killing it now these days.
Yeah, I tell her every time, like, a mentor's like dream is to be outshined by the people they train. So I'm like, good on you, boo.
I've actually said that same kind of thing, you know, where I want to see the student become the teacher and, you know, kick my ass. Because that's what, you know, that's what I feel is good for this industry is leaving it better than you found it.
It should be,
you know, so it can keep growing. And actually, you know, a quick little side note, this is a little out of date now because, you know, things happen on social media and the internet and it's like yesterday's news already, you know, but the whole Tattoo-gate controversy and everything. Did you hear that just like a week or two ago, H2 Ocean reached out to that girl, and I don't have all the facts for this or anything yet, but H2 Ocean sponsored that one client that had the really bad experience. They sponsored for her to get the tattoo that she really wanted. And she tried to insist that she didn't want anything for free or anything like that. But H2 Ocean wanted to set an example that not everything in the industry is like that.
Wow. I mean,
so
kudos to them.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, you know?
I've seen that several times over the years in our industry where this girl got a really bad portrait and it was like memed all over the internet for at least like a year or 2 years. And finally some super dope artist was just like, I'm sick of it. Like, just come in. I'm not going to charge you. I will fix it. It's bad enough that you have a horrible tattoo and now you're the butt of the internet's joke. Let me at least.
It was like one of those nailed it kind of memes.
Yeah, nailed it.
It's like a portrait of my mom that looks like Tony Danza that got hit by a truck.
Yeah, pretty much. Like one eye's like 3 inches up on the forehead, higher than it should be. It was just bad.
You can't discriminate against portraits like that.
I mean, I can. You should know me by now. I hate everything, and I'm not afraid to say I hate everything.
I know. That's why I was excited to have you on the show. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah. Welcome to the Negativity Hour with Gabe and Jordan. Yeah.
We're gonna get canceled.
Pretty much.
Can't wait. So, okay, moving on from, so how long did you have American Revolution for?
I had it for just a little over 5 years.
Okay.
And I know that because my father's always like, if your business isn't sustainable at the 5-year mark, it never will be. Therefore, you should just quit. So after the 5-year mark, I was like, this isn't working. For a myriad of many reasons, some official, some hypothetical, but it just wasn't working.
It just wasn't the move.
It was one of those things where it's like my father helped me start the business, and we both sat down. We're like, here's what we're gonna do. If you're gonna open up something, it should be the best of the best. So we got a huge building. Everything was brand new, top of the line, yada yada. Every tattoo booth was 13 by 13. Like you had room. Each one had its own sink. You had your own soap. You had like 3 sets of cabinets, 14 sets of drawers. Like it was beautiful. It was all the curtains were the hospital liners.
All right, let's do it again.
Like, yeah. And it was just like sweet. So, but that's overhead. And then the building was huge. Like the lobby,
utilities
the lobby was about the size of the shop we're in now.
Oh, wow.
So like when I left, my monthly rent was over $3,000.
Wow. So you pretty much rented out like a Kmart.
It was behind Kmart. It was huge. And the landlord basically gutted out this huge building. He rented, he was really nice. He rented half to us. He put up a big wall. And then we actually designed everything, walls, separators, counters, everything. And so at first my rent was really low to offset what we had to pay to build the building up.
Right.
But as the years went, it kept getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And then, yeah, by the time it was like $3,000 a month, we weren't bringing those numbers in.
Gotcha. So when you were opening the shop, were you still working at Blackball, or were you were putting pretty much all your eggs in the basket of getting your place opened?
It was all in those baskets.
Okay.
Because I left Blackball under bad terms. So it wasn't like I could be like, hey, can I continue to work here while I build up your competition, please?
Right.
Like it just wasn't a thing.
Yeah, a lot of places aren't necessarily cool with that.
No.
As well, especially, years ago. I think the industry is taking a shift now where people don't want to create enemies in the industry anymore because you never know who's going to be your boss next week. Does that make sense?
I think that's partially true. Yeah. It's weird because the tattoo community is, high schools have their cliques.
Right.
There's the nerds, the stoners, the jockeys. We don't have that, but we have the same number of them. So you have like your top tiers, like Frank Sinatra, Jimmy Litwalk, and they're like, we sit way up here in this top shelf and we look down upon everybody, but we're very helpful. And then you have the same people in the same category that look down on everybody and they're not very helpful. And then you have mediocre tattoo artists and you have people that are always trying to build up, but you still have the people that are just fighting tooth and nail. Because for some reason they feel like I have to tattoo every single person on this planet. No one else can.
I have recently witnessed that, especially with doing some more conventions over the last year. I've noticed how cliquey things are, and you have like this little group of people, and then they have rivals or whatnot of the other little clique group of people.
Yeah,
and it's like the neo-trad guys versus the trad guys versus
the realism people versus the cartoony people. Like your art isn't art because it's not photorealistic like mine is.
And it's weird that things like that have still survived this long in the industry. It's kind of like artist racism in a way.
In a weird way, it is. It actually is. Yeah, because a lot of people say yours is like, and I'll put myself on blast, even just in the world of art in general. I had this fight with Dion all the time. Like, I hate abstract art. I don't get it. I don't consider it art at all.
Well, you're talking to the trash polka guy over here.
Right.
Controlled chaos.
But even that makes more sense to me because that is at least incorporated into elements of what I personally consider art. It's a design. It's an element. It's a Statue of Liberty, which is art, but then you put the chaos over near it with it.
To find that harmony and balance.
Yeah, that makes sense. But when someone just takes a white canvas and they put 2 blue streaks across it and 1 drip of red down the middle.
I hate that.
And they're like, it's art. It's like, not.
It's like those people that do that acrylic paint pour and then they spin the canvas and then they're like throwing paint buckets at it.
Pop a hole in the paint can and just push it.
Yeah,
and the cylindrical force just spins around. It is, but you didn't do it. Like gravity did it. Momentum did it.
Right. It's at best, I would consider it a visually pleasing
image
to look at.
But is it art? But it is to some people.
It's can you call that creating something though?
I mean, yeah. It's still creating something. I can take this water bottle
and you can create a mess.
Put it right here. I created something.
You created.
See how it's like dangling on the edge? It's creating suspense. It's
I told you to do the bendy.
I told you to do the bendy. Like you're worried that I'm going to get water on your $8 billion thing. Like, no. But
this old thing. No.
But it's really weird. It is weird because that's the problem with the whole industry as a whole, especially as being a tattoo artist, is art is subjective. So when we go on the internet and you go on Facebook and you see like this horrible tattoo and 8,000 people like it, but all of us in the shop are laughing at it, it's because it's subjective.
Right. So does the art... So do you remember this what was the guy's name? He did that terrible like Raiders football guy.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I remember that.
What is that guy's name? He was like out in the New England states or whatnot.
I don't think I ever knew his name, but
somebody
I've seen it everywhere.
But everybody, Chris Crinkle. It was Chris Crinkle. And for a while, people would say things like, you got Chris Crinkled if you got a bad tattoo,
Right.
But people were still going and getting tattooed from that guy left and fucking right. So even though our standards are different, as far as what makes a good tattoo or a good piece of art, he was selling it. So
well, it's just like,
it's
it's just like the Sucky Panther.
Yeah.
They've made books about it. There's Flash with the Sucky Panther face on Fred Flintstone. They've taken the bad and elevated it into good. It's not good. It's temporarily good because we live in the age of funny, temporary, and meme life. So in the heat of the moment, like it's a lot of everything in the tattoo industry is becoming like flash pan trend, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And we've seen it come and go. Stars on the ribs came and gone. Infinity symbols,
The whole
came
handles. Because it was the tramp stamps. Then it was the whole handles on the ribs.
We call them skank planks.
Skank planks.
Yep.
And now it's, oh gosh, we went through the
dandelions and silhouette birds.
The infinity symbols.
Live, laugh, love.
And then people getting their memorials that are writing out the whole fucking obituary. I want to get the birth date, death date, write everything that they like, but do it in words instead of just doing an image that represents the person.
And it all must fit about the size of a quarter.
Yeah. And then put happy birthday, Dave.
I just had one of those the other day, and I just finally sat her down, and I give some people, I try to read the room, I give them the hard speech about memorial tattoos. Because it's like, if you get a memorial tattoo, it should be for like, you want to look at that picture and have a fond, happy memory of that person. But all people do is like mark when they died, oftentimes how they died. Like, why would you do that?
Well, I think it's our responsibility as creatives and as artists to guide clients because, they're not doing this for a living or whatnot.
Right.
I have seen clients come in that are in a creative field themselves, be it graphic design or some kind of writing, illustration, whatever it may be. And they usually would come in with a much better concept as far as what I would consider a better concept.
Right.
Well more thought out instead of just a generic doing their fucking tombstone on their goddamn arm. You know what I mean? So in cases like that, I like those kind of clients because I get a little more creative freedom where they're like, oh, hey, this is, here's some subject matter, run with it. But then I have the clients that, come in with a 2-inch thick manila folder
to micromanage the entire process.
I don't get along with clients like that.
I don't either. But unfortunately, that's what we're both tattoo artists. And for anyone listening who's not in the industry, like your clientele mentality of thinking is different than mine, which is different than Steve's and different than them. So in my personal point of view, 90% of my clientele are the micromanaging client.
I've seen you have some conversations with people, and I love listening to those because they are long, and you're pretty much telling people in the nicest way possible why their idea sucks, and I love hearing it.
But not oftentimes, I'm going to defend myself because he's not wrong, but it's not oftentimes that it sucks. It's just not doable. It's very rare that I say, well, the image is ugly. It's just, I'm sorry, but it has to be 12 inches long.
Right.
It can't be 2 inches long. And that's where the great debate comes from.
Now, see, and then you and I have different stances on cover-ups. You're not the biggest fan of cover-ups, and I do pretty much all the fucking cover-ups. Because, so when it comes to my clients when it comes to cover-ups, I know personally that I can't do, artistically exactly how things should be done. Light source is exactly where they should go. I bend the rules a lot.
Which is my problem because I have a difficult time doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
I also know that if I can bend some rules and get a client into a piece that they're happier with, whether or not it's artistically 100% correct or not.
Right.
I feel like that's the less of the two evils rather than them going someplace else and then they're ending up in a cover-up of a cover-up of a cover-up, which I've seen happen so many times. So I will kind of take that bullet sometimes as long as I can get as much control over the situation as possible. Right. If somebody comes in and tries to micromanage me on a cover-up, I'm like, go do it your fucking self.
I mean, right. That's just dumb because, and that makes sense. And like, that's like the one area I feel you get to have that kind of inaccuracy, I guess the word is, because you have to do things a certain way.
Right. And as long as it's, in my eyes, I want it to be as close to artistically accurate as possible. But if it looks aesthetically better than it was
than what was
before,
there,
then mission
job well
accomplished.
done.
Yeah. And, you know,
Well, the thing too is I have a hard time always remembering this, and sometimes I don't feel I have to remember this, but it's also like we look at an image and we go, ooh, proper light source, proper shadows. Nobody else does. When they leave the shop and go to the bar and show their table of 15 friends their tattoo, no one's going to be like, light source is wrong, bro.
right.
You know, that drop shadow should be to the left, not to the right,
Exactly. But you know what really sucks though is like when you're not doing a cover up, and then one of your colleagues comes over and is like, "Oh, is that a cover up?" And you're like, "Fuck!" You're like, "Oh, I suck."
There's a lot of those weird questions where sometimes we're smartasses about it and sometimes we're just not. Like, oh, nice lines.
Yeah, crispy.
Crispy lines. Sometimes you just meant to go, dude, those are crispy lines. Sometimes you go, shoot, was one of them wobbly?
Yeah.
I got to find the wobbly ones. I think they were being like secretly sarcastic
Are they
about
being
it.
facetious right now?
In my case, I know it's often like, I need to go check a line.
So on this subject then, when it comes to clients and the micromanaging ones and everything like that, so what's your ideal client when they come in the door to have a consultation with you? Ideally, what makes it a fun day for Jordan?
In a perfect world, someone comes in and goes, I like your work. I follow you on Instagram. Here's the body part. Do what you want. Which obviously there's always restrictions. I'm not going to put like a 3-titted alien or, you know, giant wieners and stuff. And I'll have a conversation like, what are you into and what do you like? But that's rare. It happened more often on the road than it does in shop.
I've noticed that a lot.
But
it
the
really does
road-
happen on the road. I think it's because people want something right then and there. They're like, okay, your stuff is cool. Just do something.
Well, I also feel like on the road, there are, how do I break this down? So in your town, there are tattoo shops and then there's tattoo studios. One's better than the other. And you also have customers and then you have clients. One is better than the other one.
I agree.
So on the road, I feel the artists that are there are primarily studio quality, and the people going to these events are more often clients more so than customers. They're the tattoo collectors. They're there because they follow you and your work from 8 states away, and now you're in their state. They're aware of you, what you do, how you do, and they are seeking you out by name to get something done.
And they also understand that getting tattooed at a show also comes at a premium price because, one, you're kind of skipping ahead of the line of the wait that
Right.
a lot of very good artists
And it
tend to
costs
be
you a
booked up.
fortune to go.
Exactly.
Airfare, hotel, the booth that you work at is close to $1,000.
And not to mention, you know, your sustainability over the weekend, having to provide yourself meals and everything like that.
Yep.
You know, and you know, a lot of these shows are in bigger cities and everything. Some of the really cool shows are in bigger cities, so everything in bigger cities costs a lot more money.
Expensive.
Yeah, so
But it's laid out like a flea market.
it really is.
So
It's fun.
people are in that flea market. I've actually had people question me as to why they had to pay anything. They paid $20 to get in.
So wait a second.
That means they can go around and get all the tattoos,
all the
they
tattoos
want
we
because
want?
they paid the admission fee, and that's
I had
not how it goes.
somebody walk up to me last year. I was at the Flint tattoo convention, and somebody came up to me and they were like, "So how does this work? I just pick out a tattoo and then like anybody just does it for me?" I'm like, "Well, you wanna find out, you know, how much they're gonna charge you and everything first." He was like, "Well, I already paid my $30 to get in. Don't I just get tattooed?" And that was actually a real thing that people are confused.
And I don't understand the mentality
I
in
don't
which
either.
you would ever think that was a possibility.
I think that's part of the generational like selfishness and
Entitlement.
entitlement.
But like
Ignorance.
if you pay to get movie tickets, the snacks aren't free.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
like nothing in this life is free ever.
No.
And $30, like what makes you think? But there are things that happen in our industry that makes people think that though too.
Because they got participation awards.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But you know, there's still a lot of shops that do like $13 tattoos.
Dude,
like,
I won't even show somebody a tattoo for $13.
I won't draw you a map on how to leave the building for $13.
Oh, no.
Not that I'm money hungry, but
I'll just
don't.
take your damn $13 and
that's the problem is there's so much, there's good and bad in the tattoo industry, and there's far more bad than good.
I agree. And
So it just trumps it. And those are the stories that get out. Like, dude, this guy down the street did this whole half sleeve for $100.
were you there that day where Travis was working the counter and this guy came in? He's like, I got this whole sleeve for like $60 or whatnot. And Leah goes walking by and she's like, yeah, looks like it.
Like it. I was there.
And he was like, what do you mean? She's like, it sucks. And the guy started like getting all bitchy and everything. Travis ended up kicking him out and it was awesome. And I loved that day.
You know, it's weird because in customer service, you never want to tell someone their tattoo sucks. But when they turn around and offend you by saying your work is not worth the value in which you're putting on it, then I feel it's fair game.
Well, for me, if somebody's, because I deal with cover-ups a lot. If somebody's coming to see me, 90% of the stuff I feel like I do anymore is just cover-up stuff. Every day you guys walk by and like, hey, what are you doing?
Another
Cover-up? Oh,
Another
cool.
cover-up.
Another cover-up. Never.
Yep.
So when people come in, I will rip their tattoo apart and I'll be like, look, that's terrible. Because sometimes people just want to cover a little tiny portion of a tattoo. And I'm like, I don't understand. Don't
like,
do
I just
that.
don't like the feet on this bird.
Yeah, don't do
like,
that.
Well, the head's just as bad,
Yeah.
so you might as well.
Yeah, so I'll tell people like, yeah, it's really, and a lot of times the people that I deal with, they already know that it sucks.
That's why they want it gone
Yeah.
in the first place.
So, but sometimes I'll be working on a particular area, say like in the middle of a forearm, and they'll have something on their wrist that I think looks like crap, and I'll be like, so you want to get rid of that too? And they'll be like, no, I want to keep that, and I'll be like, well, it kind of needs to go. Or you're going to have a turd sitting right next to this, beautiful piece of jewelry.
I tell people that too when it comes like adding on to things. Like if someone comes in, they have like a Tigger tattoo and they want to put Winnie the Pooh right next to it, and Tigger's horrible. I'll tell them.
Oh yeah,
I try the nice way.
You want them to have the best looking piece possible.
That is the outcome of every good tattoo artist, and I try to tell people all the time, like the advice we give you, we don't want you to have a bad tattoo.
Right.
So anything I say is all going to benefit you and the tattoo.
I would rather not tattoo somebody if they're not going to get a good tattoo rather than take their money and just do a subpar.
That's why I'm
something.
broke all the time.
Yeah, that's the starving artist, man.
I am Mr. No. And I try to tell even the newbies we got at our shop is when someone comes in like, well, I want the national anthem tattooed about, 2x2 on my wrist. And a lot of tattoo artists, and there's a few in our shop that use these words like, well, it probably shouldn't be done. Or I don't think we can. No, you just say, no, it can't be done. Like I try to cut through the bullshit. I'm polite, but I'm stern and I'm to the point. Because most times I'm in the middle of a tattoo.
Right.
Like I got to get back to work. So I'm not going to be like, gee, well, maybe so. No. I know after 18 years that you can't do Winnie the Pooh the size of an index finger.
Right.
So I'm just going to tell you straight up.
You've lived that.
No.
You've gained those experiences because I'm sure at one point in your career you did shit like that.
I did.
And then you learned a hard lesson that, wow, that looks like shit.
About 5 years of it.
I feel like apprentices these days, they do have a lot of entitlement issues and they don't want to listen to core advice like that where we're trying to guide them in a good direction, but they think they know more. So they'll take on stuff like that.
Yeah, they got to touch the burner.
They do.
Which is,
it's fine.
We have a friend and sometimes he's like, hey, I think I want to try this. And I'm like, no, like abundantly no, because I would stop and ask if I should even be doing it. And he'll do it. And sometimes I think they should do it because you're never going to know that, oh shit, that looks like hell.
Right.
That's permanent. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I think maybe that's part of the apprenticeship is they should do one of those.
And then they never want to get themselves in that situation ever again.
Now you're going to be super careful about what you pick, where you put it, so on and so forth, because bless them for being ambitious. I get it.
I think they're ambitious too because they're hungry and they're trying to build clientele for themselves, and they're trying to do anything because they're excited about doing it. But there's somebody that we know that just doesn't listen, just does not listen. Still to this day, just does not listen.
I can honestly tell you, every apprentice I've either had or helped with has done it.
Oh,
And you know, the new, it ain't specific to one person or the other. It's like, nope, 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 shouldn't do it. And I come into work and you did it. And you're trying to ask me how to fix it. I can't tell you how to fix it because I told you not to do it in the first place.
Right. And then they start asking me, oh, how do you cover this up? Tell them to pay me and I'll do it.
Right. It's the hard knocks of the tattoo industry. And I get it because, you know, you don't get paid for your apprenticeship. For those that don't know, you know, I went 2 years with no money.
Oh, man.
So once you can make money, you're like, I kind of need the money.
And it's way different these days than what it used to be back then, you know, 18 years ago. I'm 20 years now. So we're both like right in that same generation where you were working your ass off trying to learn. So it was like you're trying to make an income and get an education. You're not getting any income from apprenticing. So you're either trying to hustle on the side, working at a gas station or whatever, going in, putting in a ton of hours at a tattoo studio where you're doing bitch work and everything. But the highlight of your day is when somebody teaches you how to pull a line or they show you a cool trick. And then you're on cloud nine. You cannot wait to take that knowledge and apply it to the next thing that you're going to fuck up. You know what I mean?
And I still feel that because, you know, up until COVID, like I was doing guest spots. You know, I go to Franklin Atra's and I wouldn't even work. I just watched 10 of the best new schoolers work and I got to ask all the questions and sit down and draw with them. And that's something I feel never goes away and never should go away because the worst thing you ever want to do is get stale or plateau.
I agree.
Which is where I feel I'm at right now, if I'm being honest.
I do too. And I think that's why I've decided to take on this podcast adventure is to reinvigorate something within myself, but also shine some light on more of those problems that are in the industry rather than, you know, some of the bad in the industry than the good, because there is more bad, I feel sometimes, than there is good in the industry. I mean, I love this industry.
I think that's an accurate statement.
I love this industry. And I know this industry loves me too, because tattooing has loved me the same as I've loved it, if that makes sense.
It does. I feel the opposite. I love this industry, don't get me wrong, but I feel it has not given me nearly as much as I've given it.
So on to the next topic here. Tattooing has taken a lot from you. You've made a lot of sacrifices for tattooing, one being both your wrists.
Both my hands.
And
who needs those?
Yeah, you don't need those tattoos. I saw this video the other day of a guy tattooing with his freaking feet.
Yep.
And it fucking looked dope.
I
wanted to quit. I wanted to quit after that. I'm like, you know what?
I'm so old, I can barely bend my toes without getting a Charlie horse.
Yeah, I know.
Hold a tattoo machine.
I can't scratch my other foot with my other foot without getting a damn foot cramp. Like, shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and I remember when you were going through that, you couldn't tattoo as long as you were used to. You still can't. No. And then you had the carpal tunnel surgery, which was twice, which was supposed to be, you know, what, like 3 to 6 weeks or something like that recovery time. And it ended up being something like 6 months or something.
The first one was accurate. The first one was 2 weeks. It was this one and this one, the ulnar nerve. Nope. It was this one. This was the bad. Yeah, this my right hand was a bad one. Sorry.
This one goes in your butt.
Yeah. So yeah, the left hand went smooth and easy, and then a couple months later, it happened in the right, and I had surgery on that, and something went wrong in the surgery that is no one to blame. It's just the body's reaction. It gave me CRPS, which is nerve damage. So basically, my hand was just curled up into my chest like this for about 6 months. And it was scary as shit because I'm always like, oh, sometimes I'm over tattooing. Like I said, it's taken more than it gives. I've lost time with my kid. I barely knew my kid's childhood, which I'm sure you can understand.
I can very much relate
because
to
it was
that.
Work from 7 to 11 to make money, then 11 to midnight to not make money to learn, and then just years of that. And then it's just like, what do I do if I can't tattoo anymore? And it was scary. It was like literally scary. Like I'm all hands tattooed. For those that can see, hands tattooed, knuckles tattooed. I can't go get just any other job now.
Right. Even though tattoos are more socially acceptable, in order for us to get a career outside of tattooing that would be comparable, pay-wise.
Pay is comparable to, yeah.
There's just no freaking way. There's no way.
Not to say that tattooing is mega lucrative either. People out there who are trying to get into the business.
For the hard work and dedication that we've put in over the years, we're finally to a point in our careers where I feel like we get compensated well for it.
I'm abundantly spoiled.
Yes. I mean, I've seen some
I'll
of the...
be honest with it.
I've seen your Spider-Man costume. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And your Rocketeer pack.
I spend thousands of dollars on useless junk, but I'm also spoiled in the ways but I had to earn this to where it's like, I don't work weekends. I'm going to pick and choose the days I want to work, the times I want to work.
Well, yeah,
which is new to me. But for the first 18 years of my kid's life, I worked every day but Sunday.
I see. So when I started, I was working 7 days a week, not getting paid. Mm-hmm. And we would have other counter people come in and they would take naps in the back room or what. I'd do all the work for the day. They'd be the ones getting paid and they'd take off and they're like, all right, thanks, man. I didn't have to come here. I just had to come here to pick up money pretty much.
Right.
But by me doing that and making that sacrifice, I was able to build my career. So with all the sacrifice and everything that I've given up, and that I've got some issues going on with my shoulder or arm and whatnot right now.
Brain, knees, you're falling
everything.
apart,
I'm falling apart, and
You are.
I'm having mortality is looming over me like a black cloud lately. Last year I turned 40. And
you're halfway, dude.
I feel like I'm almost there.
Because I'm a pessimist, and I know 80s is pushing it for us.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we've spent
43.
all these years not taking the best care of ourselves, hunched over. My body feels like I just freshly got hit by a truck.
Yep. I love going to masseuses because they will look at you like they don't know what you did.
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck
Because your
happened
right
to you?
shoulder from tattooing is over here. Your left arm from stretching is way up over here. Everything's tight and out of place.
Well, I've had my girlfriend, Adriana, she's massaged my back for me before, and she's felt the knots in my back and my shoulder. She's like, oh my God, it feels like you have tumors. They're so hard. I can't tell what's bone and what's a muscle.
Whenever my
knot.
wife does it, I can hear it. I can feel her finger going. I can hear it in my body.
Crack.
There's just this big knot right on the inside of my left shoulder.
Oh, and it's terrible too. And some of them you can't even get to because they're underneath your shoulder blade. And so that's a whole nother topic. Dirk Morrison from Red Tree Gallery in Ohio, he's touched on mobility and everything for tattoo artists, longevity of your career and things like that.
Stretching before. It's almost like exercise. You got to stretch before, you got to stretch after.
That guy's doing it right, though. So it's not to say that if you don't put in the work that you can't do it, that you can't, it's just we're the kind of guys where we weren't ambitious enough to do that.
But some people are also just in different parts of their career, too. I'm not going to name names, but I know some tattoo artists who are incredible and they deserve what they have, but they only have to do 1 or 2 tattoos a month. That's it.
I agree.
And sometimes that's how the topper tier tattoo community is. Sometimes is they pick and choose the pieces they want. It's often maybe 1 tattoo a week, and that pays all their bills because their price is where it should be. I'm not saying it's overly done, but so those people have it a little easier than we get up every day. We have to go to the shop. I have to prove my worth to 15 people a day just so I can get an appointment booked, so I can get a paycheck, so I can eat.
And then during that appointment time and, the preparation of that appointment time, you're killing your body, hunched over, put in the hours.
Yeah.
Tattooing is not easy on the body.
So everyone comes in like, I want to be a tattoo artist. I say, don't. I tell everyone, don't do it.
It's hard. There's so much sacrifice. It takes so much from you.
No idea. It's not what TV makes it out to be.
No, it is not.
It ain't strippers, hookers, rock parties, and blow.
I always wondered when you were considering doing the tattoo show before, what was it, Ink Master or something like that.
I was about to be on Ink Master before COVID hit. Yeah.
I was so eager to see how they'd edit you. I was hoping they'd make you look like a dick.
I bet they would, because it wouldn't be hard.
They'd be like, okay, this guy here, he says no to everything, so we're just going to, he's going to be the no guy. But that would probably kept you on the show till at least the semifinals.
It might have. Like, this cute, cartoony looking dude is kind of a dick. And I'm not a dick. I don't dick around. Like,
I can see how that could be edited so well, though. That's
they
what I'm
could-
going to
they
do
could-
after you leave here today, actually.
right. It's just gonna, here's Jordan's like, I hate everyone. Go to hell.
I'm the no guy. I'm the no guy.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, I heard this piece of advice years ago in order to not burn out, I guess, because burnout's a real thing, especially for guys like me and you that are longer into our careers that put those hours in and work hard and still hustle.
I'm in like a year-long burnout right now.
I feel like I'm right there next to you. And I'm trying everything I can desperately to get out of that. And I feel like I'm approaching it and I'm going through some good motions. Like the podcast, I feel like it might be a healthy outlet. It might not. I might grow to hate this too, which might make me love tattooing. Who knows?
It sounds hippy-dippy, but we're creatives. So therefore, if we're not getting what we need from one, we're going to cheat on it and we're going to go do another. You got to have... Creatives need an outlet. I really think that's true. You're not getting it. No offense to anybody or work, but you're not getting what you deserve, you need at work creatively. So now you're doing this. Now you get to create this way.
You can only be so creative with flags, man.
I know, right?
How can you create another American flag?
That's where burnout comes in.
That's why I'm getting burnout.
The job is repetition, and it shouldn't be, but it is. You know, I could sit at home. I could take a month off, sit home, and draw up 47 million amazing custom designs that make me feel creative, would make me feel good tattooing. I would never do one of them.
Do you know, during COVID, I didn't draw, I didn't paint, nothing.
I couldn't.
I couldn't either. I think I had a like reset. I needed like a creative reset.
I think I loved COVID for that reason. Like,
did too.
It
I was
kinda
able
put
to
things
explore
into
other things.
perspective. I could, I got into filmmaking, not filming, but I call it filming, editing, puppeteering. Like my creative just shifted completely to an entirely different medium that I really loved.
Which is thriving too right now. You've had some pretty incredible offers with Jordy's Place to puppeteer alongside of some masters.
Yeah, I mean, I've paid for some of them, but yeah.
That's okay.
It's opened up a few things, not anything massive yet, but I'm being hopeful. It's only 3 years old. But yeah, that's just been a whole nother fun thing where I'm starting to like, I love tattoos. They're amazing, but I'm more than that. Like I like drawing. I like tattooing. I like singing. I was in a band. I like puppeteering. I like filmmaking. I like edit. So like I do voices and impressions and all this stuff. And like I'm spread in like 10 different ways.
You're creative.
So yeah, and I'm just like finally starting. I've done the band thing. I've done the drawing thing. I've done commissioned art. I've done tattoos. I've done this. Now I'm like moving on to the second hand of creativity things, and I'm learning that I love those just as much, if not more.
Do you ever find yourself like coming back around full circle to some things prior that you are now implementing towards like your puppeteering or anything like that, as far as like old creative things, like say for instance singing? I know that you did an episode, or you've done a few episodes with Jordy's Place, or even with your live streams and stuff, where you've done some musical kind of style stuff.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Maybe that's why I just love puppets. Let's be honest. I'm not gonna try to like get around. I'm a Muppet nerd.
He is.
But like when I do that stuff, every single thing I love is utilized. From the art to the Photoshop to the editing to the filming to the voices to the singing to the like everything that I love to do, basically in one way or another, whether it's cover art or Instagram posts, I got a green screen, I got to edit, I got to do like everything's used in that one medium. So I kind of get to scratch every itch.
It's like creating an opus. Mm-hmm. I right here with you. I love digital media creation. I love graphic design. I love drawing. I love audio production. I love music, all that stuff that now I've got so many years with, tattooing and everything in that creative outlet as well. And even speaking with people and building relationships with clients and things like that. I feel like there's an art form to that as well.
Oh, yeah.
And how you run your schedule. I feel like there's the art of scheduling, which that's going to be a solo podcast that I talk about in the future. I've got a great idea for that. But I completely relate to what you're saying as far as like moving on to the next chapter of your creative development and everything and exploration, like what you're doing with puppeting right now. And you it's starting to pay off where you're making some extra side hustle money with it.
Yeah, like TikTok's amazing. Like anybody, you could literally be live streaming on TikTok right now and making gifts, making money. Like anybody can do it at any point in time.
You were telling me prior to setting up this podcast date and everything today too, which that's something I've been slowly exploring TikTok. I think I have like 3 TikTok posts right now.
Right.
And I had like some hater on my last post that I did, like talk some shit or whatnot. I'm like, fuck TikTok. I don't like this place.
Nobody likes TikTok, but everybody's on it.
So that is something for the future with this and everything, doing at least some clips or something on TikTok. And once I can have my whole media creation station going on, like the drummer from Rush's drum set, and it's all just digital buttons of me, like
we're talking hanging upside down and stuff.
I got YouTube going on Facebook Live and this and that, I got all that shit going. Once I pay off some credit cards from all this stuff.
Right.
I'll get some more equipment and do some cool stuff.
That's the only downside of being a creative is most of the things you want to do cost a shit ton of money.
Yeah. Well, because I don't like to half-ass anything either.
You can't, though. That's the thing. Like, maybe it's because we're tattoo artists, but top quality is everything.
Well, it's the better that you get at something, the more people expect out of you. So
that's true.
Now, just being known as being a good, respected tattoo artist, I go to create a podcast. I've never done a podcast before, but there's a certain level of expectation just based on the quality of the stuff that I put my name on, that I put out there. So production value wise, I had to go a little bit more than just setting up my phone and, us having this conversation in my bathroom.
Right. Well, but we're all attracted to aesthetics. If someone's watching and they see these really nice, which these are really nice microphones, they're going to watch automatically because no one's going to spend this kind of money to not be good at what they do. That's like social mentality. If I'm going to put this in puppet terms, I apologize, but if I'm going through TikTok and I see some dude with a $20 puppet, I'm not even going to watch. I don't think you're good. I don't think you're funny. I don't think you're talented. I'm automatically assuming these things because your puppet looks cheap.
Right.
And if I see, that looks like an $800 puppet, I'm going to tune in because it looks really good.
Yeah, like you put some effort into making sure that this was going to be good quality.
Yeah. So therefore, everything else must be. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong.
Right. And then now we're going to have, a whole list of haters in the comment section blowing us up saying, not everybody can afford to start great. You got to start somewhere. And I agree with that. I completely agree. I think it's important to remember that you do not have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to become great.
Yes. And you should strive to be great.
Always. Because, what else are you going to do with life? It's better to aim for the stars and miss than aim for the ground and hit. Right. I tell that to my kids all the time.
What's that saying? If you don't take a swing, you're never going to hit a single ball.
Right.
Something like that.
Screen door on a battleship or something.
People in glass houses sink ships. I don't know. Something weird like that.
Let's go metaphor hour now.
Yeah.
But so what do you with everything that you've got going on now? What do you have planned for the future? Are you
slow, imminent death and paying taxes?
Oh man, you stole the words right out of my mouth. Damn it.
Good night, everybody. Go hug your family.
You're not jumping on a submarine, are you?
Nope. Nope.
Too soon?
Never. No, I made jokes about it last week on TikTok and got yelled at because it was too soon.
Oh, whatever. You got the experience.
Yep.
Full experience on that one.
Sorry. Anyway, what's my future?
Yeah. What do you got? What do you got planned? Do you have any plans for the future? Are you trying to develop your puppeteering more in the future?
If I could, I love tattooing. Don't get me wrong. I will do it till the day I die, probably. But if I was to have another means and another talent to make money, I'd probably try it at this point. I have never worked a job in my life longer than like 2 years, 3 years. I was a radio DJ for a year. I was security for 5 years. I did engineering for a year. I've done all these different tattooing is like almost 20 years of my life.
It's like the Pauly Shore movie, Son-in-Law, where I majored in that for half a semester.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was my life prior to tattooing as well. I did construction. I worked in restaurants. I did landscaping. I did everything except for, suck dick for crack and stuff. You know what I mean?
$20 is $20,
20
my
bucks.
friend.
is $20.
But yeah, I would love to get into something with the puppets. So I just love, aside from puppets, like movies and film. I'm the harshest film critic in the shop. You all know. But I love
you.
I know. But I love every step of the process. And I would love to get into that somehow. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to do it. And that's what I'm shooting for. I'm going to make an audition tape.
I know a guy that, knows a couple little things about video production quality.
Right. I don't need to worry about quality. I need to figure out where to send it after I make it.
Oh, yeah. I have no fucking
Yeah,
idea
that's the thing.
with that.
Like, I have Henson Company info. Can I just mail it to them? Do I have to get an agent? Like, how do I get in touch with people to start getting... But it's also... Here's my problem is I love everything that's dying.
Yeah.
I love animate, like 2D animation. My work is very Disney Looney Tune-esque. Like that's a dying art form because now CG took over. But same with tattooing, like realism is in, cartoons are dead. So that's my issue with the art world. Let's go to the film and movie world. I love that. I want to get into it. I like puppets. Dying.
Yeah.
Like, 20 years. It's huge in the UK still. It's huge in the UK. But America, no. Like back in the day, you had Muppets, Eureka's Castle, Fraggle, right? You name like 7 or 8 different puppet shows. Alf was huge in the 80s.
Elf was huge. I loved it.
I still watch it, and it's still funny. It holds up. It's crazy. But it just doesn't happen anymore. It's far and few and in between.
Well, I think, back then when, 2D animation, like Sullivan Bluth Company and everything, Sullivan Bluth was amazing because all those backgrounds were hand-painted.
Yeah.
All the character design. Oh my God.
My wife has learned to appreciate way more what she sees on the TV than she used to. Because
what went into it?
I spit this shit out. Like we were watching Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And we finished watching it and she loved it. And I was like, hey, they got the making of it. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll watch it. And that's when she realized like everything was made. If you want to film a movie, you and me doing a road trip, you just jump in the car. The background's there, everything's there, but every spoon, every candle holder had to not be made, but made to size. And now she's like, oh my God, like everything I'm looking at on screen, someone took hours to build for what, 5-second shot?
Exactly.
And then it's thrown away.
Exactly. That's when entertainment was more organic. Mm-hmm. And now, this day and age, entertainment's so readily at our fingertips and overly produced that the attention span of people is like that of a fish now.
Yeah, I think fish have more.
They say if you don't grab somebody's attention online within the first 8 seconds, you've lost them.
It's true. It is abundantly true. And I
Especially
can tell
with
you from my
TikTok
TikTok analytics will tell you the average watch time of all of my videos is 3.4 seconds. I can't even get through the open. Like if I just went on and told a joke, like what kind of underwear do storm clouds wear? I won't even get through that.
You won't even get through to the punchline.
I can't even get to the punchline because it's literally 3.4 seconds.
So I follow this
seconds.
guy. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, his social media or whatnot, but he does a lot of stuff with plants, like how to grow plants. Because nobody's learning about that. Kids these days don't know where food comes from, and it's just
No, they don't.
mind-boggling to me. You don't know that a fucking carrot grows in the ground. They just think it comes from the store. You just buy it.
Right.
You get it on Amazon. What the fuck ever. So this guy, his videos, like as soon as you scroll to it, it's like, bam, he's slapping you in the face. It's like, wow, check this out. Wow, pineapples, they're so cool. Let me show you why, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he's so energetic. And every time I scroll, I'm like, oh, it's this guy again.
You got to hook them.
That's the hook. You got a hook within the first like 8 seconds.
Because a lot of people think the problem is you slip in and then they go, hi, my name's Jordy. I'm
Nobody
the puppeteer.
cares.
Nope, you're gone. They're gone already. It's the same with your live
I know you just
streams.
lost me. I'm actually.
I know, you're like, I'm checked out. But we're actually, on TikTok Live, we actually have a management company. They're there to help us. The more money we make, the more money TikTok makes. The more money TikTok makes, that's how they get paid. I don't pay them a thing. But they're always giving us advice and giving us mentors, and here's how we got to make things better, and here's this and this, and it's the same thing. Like a lot of people start their live streams, and you wait, you got 1 person, 2 person, 3 person. Everyone's like, oh, okay, we're just getting ready for our stream, guys. Or they'll have like the show
number
starts
going
in
down.
5 minutes, and it just never does anything. And now, we hit play, and we because it's me and my wife, we instantly start fighting. about nothing. Like the other day we hit play and I was like, why do you have so much Tupperware in the cabinet? I'm sick and tired of washing. And that number went from 1 to 450 because the algorithm will always push you in the first 10 seconds. Like you're new, you're on. Okay, we're going to give you to as many people as we can.
And then if they start hanging out, then we're going to add more.
Yep. But if you're there, like you can't it can't be the ramp up. It's got to start at 10 and then slowly come down at the end, which makes it difficult.
It is difficult and it's exhausting too.
Yeah.
Because
do that 3 days a week for 2 hours at a time. Like you run out of shit to talk about.
On top of everything else that you're trying to do and accomplish in life, you just worked, a 40-hour week. Plus you did all, housework and family errands, blah, whatever it may be. You went to a fucking music recital for your
That's
kid.
why my hands are going to fall off in 10 years.
I think this arm is ready to get cut off.
Like the other day, I went to work, tattooed for like 6 hours, went home, ate dinner, puppeteered for 2.5, which is this, for 2.5 hours, stopped that, watched an hour of TV, sat down, drew up my appointment for the next day, rinse and repeat.
And it gets redundant. It's exhausting. And it's so easy to burn out.
Especially when you're not getting the results you want.
And what I hope maybe after this podcast, which it probably won't happen, but maybe some clients out there could be a little more gentle on their artists in the future. Like understand we are putting so much of ourselves into everything that we do for you.
Right.
And all that we're getting back out of it is a little assistance paying our bills, but we are emptying ourselves, our souls, our everything, our physical well-being and health.
And going back to the tattoo gate thing, and is like what people don't understand is sounds I don't know rude or cocky, but they don't know how good they have it. Because that chick for Tattoo Gate was charging for consultations way too much, charging for pre-drawn artwork way too much. But why should that be free? I don't charge for consultations. I don't even charge to draw up your tattoo. But what people don't understand is when they're like, Jordan, here's my forearm. I just want you to draw a grizzly bear snowboarding after a penguin. Sweet. That's awesome. That's like 10 hours of work I have to do that I can't do at work. I have to do at home when I should be spending time with my family. I'm not. So I'm doing free work for like 8 to 10 hours at home for nothing, just to show you a picture that you may or may not approve.
Right. And then you get to the shop and you show it to them and they're like, actually, I think I want to get an Ursula instead.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
So
great.
I literally spent 10 hours of my free time not making money for you to not accept the idea.
Right. It's hard.
So I think people should charge for drawing sometimes, not to the extent that she was.
No,
it
not
shouldn't be
to
like
that extent.
$1,000, but oh my God, throw me a couple $100.
I think there needs to be a level that somebody reaches in their career also where they can justify, if there's that demand where it's like, okay, I have all these clients. I have so many people that want to get in with me. I have this waiting list and everything. And then I have a consultation. And if you want to have a consultation with me, then like you need to compensate me for my time.
Right.
And if I'm going to put all this time into drawing, you need to compensate me for my time.
Especially the drawing. I just don't think people understand, like, just draw a picture, dude. You know what I mean? It's
just whip it up real quick.
It's so easy. Like I just did one last night. I'm drawing Krampus for a client, like a cartoon Krampus. And it took me 4 hours and I didn't even have like the solid line work. Because you got to shape it in, sketch it in, mark it in, then you got to get the details in, and then you got to do your color reference and your light sources, and you got to pre-map. It takes like 10 hours.
Because you care, though.
Because I care.
Because you care.
Well, and also the higher, in my opinion, if you see a name, if you just see the outline of something, I feel you're going to be like, But if you see it with the colors and the shadows in the background, once you see it, it's just like a movie. You're not going to watch a movie without all the CG in it.
Right.
You want to see all the CG in it.
When you watch some of the behind the scenes stuff where you don't see it and you see all the wires and you see like how terrible everybody's costumes look.
Or that picture of the chick from Twilight petting the dude on the head, Taylor Lautner, because he was supposed to be a dog.
I've seen like some of the
I would
behind the
watch
scenes
that
of
whole
like
movie.
Thor and everything, and Chris Hemsworth like holds up Mjolnir and it just looks like a flimsy little
He goes,
prop.
ah.
But then they CG it and the lightning strikes it. It looks all awesome. And you're like, holy fuck, that's
Yep.
Thor. But then, like, when you're seeing the behind the scenes, it looks like the play from Thor, like when they're on Asgard and it's like
pretty
so
much.
kooky and everything.
It looks horrible.
And they have Matt Damon there.
My Damon.
Matt Damon. But
Anywho, but yeah.
Anywho,
I mean, it's everything about the industry is long, is hard, is confusing, it's difficult, and it's not even. And that's the problem too. I feel is like if you could charge for art, I could charge for art because we feel we're worth it, but the next 4 shops down the road aren't. There's no like universal standard within the industry.
No.
Which makes it not everyone charges the same and not everyone should, which is the problem. So everyone's different. Everyone's time is different. Everyone's money spent. Everything's different. You can't just be like all tattoo shops must charge $150 an hour because some people are getting ripped off and some people are getting overpaid.
There's not a tattoo union. And that's the other thing. If and I know you've had this probably a million times in your career. You hear the client that comes in and says, "Oh, I got this tattoo from a guy. He used to work in a shop, but now he just does it out of his house."
Yeah.
It's like, for a reason, motherfucker.
Yep.
He
It's always for a reason.
tried working at a shop, couldn't fucking make the cut, and now he's tattooing in his fucking bathroom.
Or is too cheap and just didn't want to pay his share.
Yeah.
Either way, a good artist doesn't want to do this. How long does something have to be horrible until people finally realize it's horrible? My entire 43 years on this planet, never have I seen a great tattoo come out of a kitchen. There's so many horror stories. Everyone knows it's wrong, but why do people still continue to do it?
Because people want something cheap. They want something
Exactly.
easy.
And the
something
thing I hear the
fast.
most, and this is what irritates me, are like, we put 8,000% into a tattoo. And most people just look at their horrible tattoos and it's good enough. It's good enough.
Well,
it's good enough.
back to that situation where, that client came in that day and he was like, "Oh, I paid like $60 for this whole sleeve up the road." And Leo walks by. He's like, "Haha, yeah, looks like it." People don't know that they have bad tattoos. So I hope this podcast is able to do a lot, actually. I hope it's a good outlet for artists out there. I hope there's a little bit of comic relief and everything. And I hope it also shines some light for clients out there as to what this industry really is about and what
Because
artists...
they really don't know.
There's
been
really
15 tattoo, finger quotes, reality TV shows.
And it's all bullshit.
Yeah, I remember
It's
watching
all
LA
bullshit.
Inc. Like someone walks up to Kat Von and you're like, "I want to get this full back. I'm dragon," and she's like, "Okay, have a seat in the lobby." I'm like, "You just went and back and drew up a full back dragon in like 20 minutes. There's no way in
No.
hell, dude. That was like an 8-month process."
Yeah. And the other thing is a lot of, like, some of the judges on those shows, I'm sorry, I'm going to take this step right now. I'll open this can of worms. I don't think they have any fucking business judging some of the talent that becomes contestants on that show.
I don't either.
Like, I will say names right now. I don't think Oliver Peck. I don't think Chris Nunez. I don't think those guys have any fucking business judging anyone.
They have a little bit of business judging in the category that they specialize in.
In that they still
You
can't
do
a good job
Japanese
at.
dragons? Great. But don't go critique Jesse Smith's new school
Oh my gosh.
while you're sitting next to a professional football player who's got to chime in because they're the guest judge. Like, that was horrible. And the only secondary overflow horror about it is now, no offense, clients. The clients are like, "I know how to judge a tattoo now because I watch Ink Master."
Right.
Like, no, you don't.
Like,
You don't at all.
say, oh no, oh yeah, you're talking about the shading, right?
Yeah.
I know what shading is.
It's like when they
They
gave
talked about that.
it was Sarah Miller, like, "Your tattoo's too dark, you lose," and she posted a picture of it 3 weeks later. Beautiful tattoo.
Yeah, because
Beautiful.
when it healed, and
Yeah, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, tattooing has changed a lot since their heyday, and it's going to change a lot when I'm their age.
it's changing a lot right now.
It's changed.
It's the evolution of tattooing right
See
now.
that
So
face?
this whole discussion that I've been wanting to have with people, and we'll wrap this up soon too. But AI is a huge, very touchy subject right now in the industry.
But it cannot create.
It cannot create. I think AI, and I'm very much on the fence with AI.
Well, it's going to kill us all.
Very. Oh yeah, I saw
I'm gonna be
Terminator.
honest about it. Like, yeah,
I saw The Matrix. I saw Terminator. I know what's up. I know what's
gonna
happening.
happen.
I'll try and make a buck off it first.
right.
But so, for the sense of like realism guys, okay? Realism guys don't really draw in the first place. They're copying. They're recreating.
I'm gonna say
photo.
it takes a lot of talent to do what they do.
It does. It takes a lot of skill.
But here's where, like I said before, like the realism guys go, your shit's not an art form because it's cartoony. I'm literally creating something out of my imagination. You're just duplicating.
Exactly.
So, which is a talent in itself, but why is yours now more important than mine? Like you can look at me and say, I want to see this in a drawing, and I'll do it. But if I look at you, you got to go find the reference image. You got to Photoshop and crop it together. You got to do A, B, and C. And it doesn't wow me. Like, look at this tattoo of a tiger I did. Yeah, I can go look at a picture of a tiger on the internet. I want to see something I haven't seen before.
I'm big into realism. I love realism because
each their own.
I understand and respect the amount of skill it takes in order to do that. But then I also am on the same page with you as far as creating things. That's why with my artwork, I would throw myself into like a surrealistic category where there's creation and then there's duplication as well. There's a lot of reference, but then there's a lot of that's why I love Trash Polka so much too, is because you're taking realism, something that's clean and pristine and nice, and then you're fucking it up with something that you create.
Dumping trash on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in order to do that where it looks believable and an aesthetic that's beautiful at the same time.
That's an art form too, because you can do too much, you can do too little. There's a proper medium, and you got to know what you're doing to make it look right.
Right. And to make something look like it had paint thrown at it without just throwing paint at it, because it's never going to land exactly where you need it to. But to be able to create it where it looks like it was intentional, it's fucking hard. It's really fucking hard. It takes crazy people to do that shit.
That's why I struggle with watercolor.
I do too. But when it comes to like paintbrush strokes and everything like that, I excel with shit like that. Or splashes, I excel with that. But watercolor, fuck watercolor.
And no offense to anyone out there that does it, I don't think anybody does watercolor right. There's like 2 people in the entire industry, maybe 3, that I can say do watercolor right. Everyone else does not do it, myself included. So don't take offense to it.
Yeah, there's a few people out there I enjoy their watercolor, but I know that I'd say like I like Gio's watercolor.
He was one of the 3. Yep.
I think he does watercolors brilliantly, and he does it very loose. He doesn't ever like really stencil it. He does it.
It's very organic.
Very organically, and I love how he tattoos. I love it. I love seeing his stuff on the road when we're out there, but
my sister-in-law specializes, and I'm not going to use her name. I love her. Does she's a great tattooist, but like we had this fight at the cabin a couple weeks ago because I'm like, I want you to bring up 800 images of watercolor drawings, watercolor art, watercolor paintings, and tell me which one colors outside the lines. Because they don't.
No, they don't.
So the fact that everyone's just doing bullshit outlines or whatever, and they just take the 3 colors that look like a bruise, purple, blue, and pink, and it's just all fucking chaos all over the place, is retarded. Pardon the R word.
So I like when I see it where it looks like it was dripped in the position that you would paint, where it was like an outline, like an inked outline with like a quill or whatnot. And then it looked like you were getting ready to paint in that area. And then like the color drop hit the page and then it spread.
I don't know the full name, but Clodin on Instagram. Anybody get your phone out, type in Clodin. That's what it is. It's my kind. It's like Disney, but it's watercolor and the drops are there. And I've tried to emulate it and I can't do it.
I just did a Pooh Bear actually emulating that style with like watercolor washed through it and everything. And if you're the client that got that, thank you for letting me do that tattoo. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. But I did this Pooh Bear outline, and there was like some other. I think you saw it had like the Harry Potter light pole and everything like that, and then the Cheshire Cat. So a whole bunch of cool nostalgic, things like that. But how I did the Pooh Bear was I did the red in the for his shirt and everything, and it was just bleeding out of the shirt a little bit, and then like the tan, oranges, brown color for Pooh's fur color,
Fur skin. Yeah.
fur skin.
Not foreskin. I just want to be clear on that. It's not foreskin, but fur skin.
His fur skin. It's a totally different
Anywho.
thing. It's flesh colored.
Winnie the Pooh, blood and honey.
But yeah, and I made it look like it was, like flicked off of the paintbrush and just kind of stained that area, then spread out. But it, the color dropped in the appropriate places.
Yeah, and I'm okay with a little bit of bleed over because, like, from an amateur watercolor point, if I were to do it, like where my wettest brush initially touched a corner, there would obviously be a little something.
Right.
But you just can't take blue. Like, if this is your tattoo, for those watching, I apologize, those not, and you blew way over here for why?
Yeah.
It all started because, no offense, you might want to cut this part out. A bunch of lazy, uncreative white girls spent 10 years getting nothing but paragraphs of lettering all over their body, who then grew up to realize this is boring and uneventful. Let's just put splotches of color behind it so it's not as boring as lettering actually is.
It was probably some guy like me that was their tattoo artist that wanted to like excel in like trash poker or something like that, or some controlled chaos. And they were like, can you just give it a splash of color? And he took that literal and then splashed color on it.
And then it got
And then
uploaded to
that's
Pinterest.
what fucking happened. God damn, it was my fault. It was
Way to
probably
go.
me like traveling to the future, to the past.
Way to
It was
go.
Back to the Future shit. I had a hoverboard and I ended up creating watercolor tattoos. I'm sorry, Jordan. Damn it.
Don't apologize to me. Apologize to everybody.
I'm sorry,
who's got one.
guys. It was all my fault. I just wanted the fucking hoverboard.
I mean, I would do watercolor for a hoverboard.
But it was
If I'm
actually,
being honest.
I went back in time and I died. But then Doc Brown went back in time and saved me when I died. And
I
then
just saw a video about
watercolor.
that.
Yeah, it was
Every time
crazy,
he
huh?
rescued Marty was a time when he actually died in an alternate timeline.
Yep.
But Doc knew, and I was just like, mind blown.
I tried to explain that to my kid, and like the look on his face, his jaw dropped, and you saw the gears turning, and like you could smell the rubber burning in his head.
Right.
And he's just like, "Fuck, Dad, you're
Right.
like the smartest, most brilliant person." I was like, I totally ripped it off the
Yeah.
internet. It's fine.
I know, I figured it out on my own. Dad figured it all out on his own.
So, with all this discussion of everything we talked about today and everything, are you optimistic of the direction that the industry is going right now? No.
Nope. In case you didn't hear me, nope.
He is the no guy, ladies and gentlemen. I try to be optimistic, and I'm trying to put my, everything that I've built over the years into the industry also. But now I'm classified as an asshole if I'm hard on people because I care about the fucking industry. If I want to
don't care
slap an
about
apprentice in
being
the
an asshole.
face because they're fucking up and they don't listen and they think they know more than me and I want to just punch them, I'm canceled now.
Just punch him.
I have.
I am often, the industry will never disappear, which is good. It will never be taken over by robots or AI, which is good because they can't create. But the art is going away. And I see it like there's so many techniques within art that help push art that are now being removed from tattoos.
And when that happens, even if it's an art form that somebody doesn't specialize in, but that art form that inspired their specialty, if that goes away, how's it going to inspire the next generation? And that's why I think it's so important that apprentices and upcoming artists these days do a little bit of everything and they understand the fundamentals of
They
everything.
don't anymore. That's the
They
problem,
don't.
too.
They come right out of the gate. Oh, I only specialize in doing portraiture or
I only
anime
do
or
portraits. I only
this.
do anime. I'm not going to do anything other than.
And they've
I
never done
wish-
lettering or
I
calligraphy.
wish I started my career and be like, I'm just going to pick and choose the pieces I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, that would be great.
To me, and I don't give a fuck who out there wants to argue this with me because I'll be a dick about it all day and night and I'll stand my fucking ground because I've helped, not this entire industry, but I've put my work into this industry. I've put 20 years into this fucking industry. I'm not here to listen to some crying ass, 2-year-old tattoo artist with some tattitude.
Or tattitude.
That, this little
that
tatter tot that thinks they know more than me. And they're like, oh no. So this is how it's going to be now. Oh, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here.
Like, actually, it's not going to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way.
But how can we trust passing the torch to these people when, like, no, bro, I'm never going to do any traditional style work. You don't have to do it all the time, but you should know, because then you need to pass that torch on to then the next generation. And if these art forms die, if you're not well-rounded enough, and that's, I think, what's very important about a successful tattoo artist is I think tattoo artists need to be very well-rounded. I think you're a very well-rounded artist.
That's where I get pulled like 50-50. I do agree with you, but I don't like it.
I don't think anybody likes it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, everyone should be well-rounded enough to get through 80% of the basics that's required of you. But the problem is right now is the industry, I feel, and just from my small-minded view, I'm not saying this how it is, but it feels like we are breeding specialty artists, which makes sense. Like, if you're a black and gray guy, at what point would you ever want to do color? Like, in art, in general, I get it. But I think we just have to have faith to know that the industry is oversaturated. So there are people doing what we think should be done, even if it's not happening within our own four walls. So it will survive because some people are trying to be ink masters. That was the point of ink master. Like, who can do fine line plus black and gray plus this plus. But now it's not. Now it's like so hard without naming names. But I know a guy. I'm going to try to lie about it. I know a guy who only does stick figures, but that's all he wants to do. His first tattoo was a stick figure. His next will be a stick figure. And if somebody wants something other than a stick figure, what is he going to do? And this is a new problem for me, and I'm not blaming the shop in which we work at, but we have a lot of tattoo artists. I've never worked in a shop with this many artists.
Surprisingly, though, we do keep everybody...
Everyone does stay busy. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's only a bad thing in where I started, there were 2 of us. Where I went, there was 3 of us. Where I went, there was 4 of us. You had to do it. Like, the amount of people, there weren't enough artists to compensate for everything.
When I started, I started here at the shop that we're at now, Bay City Electric Chair. When I started, I was the apprentice, and then there was 2 other artists. And at that time, they had a problem with an apprentice coming in like another hand in the cookie jar and everything.
Right.
And that's where things have evolved. The work is there now. There's a lot more specialty work and whatnot. But I still, even to this day, try to be well rounded. But I'm also on the fence with it too, with the 50% of, you can't be a jack of all trades, a master of none. I think you should be a master of something and then jack of some trades. You don't want to half-ass everything that you do. You want to whole-ass one thing,
Right. And that's, and I'm honest with a lot of people about it. Like, that's not my thing. I would love to make $1,000 off you today, but it's not going to look good. Like, that's for him to do. That's not for me to do. But we have a huge lack of that in the industry too, anyway. That's a whole nother can of worms.
I had a client come in I think it was like 2 days ago, and he came in, he was like, hey, I saw your portfolio online, and you're my guy. I want this Dragon Eye tribal upper half sleeve. I'm like, dude, I don't do tribal. Where did you see? Show me the tribal I did.
You look at?
And he was like, but I like it, and like I like your stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I don't do that. It's like I can do something in my style inspired by that, which I'm going to do like this chaotic, splashy, slashy kind of thing where I think the guy liked the sharp edges and like the aggressiveness of the tattoo. So I'm going to use that as inspiration to make an aggressive Dragon Eye for this client. And it'll be badass because now that I explained to him, I was like, hey, if you don't let me do what I want to do, I'm going to set you up with another artist that will give you the tribal that you want. And as soon as I said that, one of our colleagues, Isaac, that does a lot of tribal work and everything like that, he perked his head up. He's like, what do they want?
Hey.
Send them over to me. Hey, I'm your
Right.
guy.
That's right
And
up my alley.
he was exactly who I was going to pair him with in the first place if he didn't want to allow me to give him a better piece of art from me.
But that's the problem with the entire industry as a whole. And I'm going to rag on you clients for a minute and stop me if I rant
Go
too
for
long.
it. I love ragging on clients.
But like nobody does their homework anymore. No one does their research. Not every tattoo artist is built the same. We don't do the same. Just because I can draw Winnie the Pooh really well does not mean I can draw a fucking motorcycle. So everyone nowadays, the internet's made people fucking lazy. They just send a message that goes, I don't care who does it. I just want these flowers tattooed on me. Like
or they'll look at somebody's portfolio and be like, I like their work. It'd be like somebody.
It's rare though that someone looks at a portfolio anymore and specifically calls out by name, I want this person.
Right. Well, like Leah, for instance, she has the lane that she's in. She's the master of doing the lady faces, the creepy, witchy kind of vibe and everything like that.
Yep.
And that'd be like somebody coming in that said they saw her portfolio, they love what she does. Will you do a flag on me?
Yeah.
That's exactly what that'd be like. Ooh, like where in her portfolio have you seen what you're requesting
They just
from
assume
her?
because she does well at A, B, and C, she must be good at
Right.
D, E, and F. And it's not that way at all.
So if you're a client and you're going to collect a piece from an artist that you're following, ask yourself what it is that is appealing about the artist that you're going to seek out work from. Do you just like that they can do smooth blends, that they have clean line work, or are you looking at the entire motif of the, pieces that they like to work and that they like to present in their portfolio? Well, there's Jordan, for example. You are Jordan Tattoons when it comes to any tunes that
and
come in the
people
door.
still look at my portfolio and go, I love what you do. How much for a name on my wrist?
Right, yeah.
Like there's no lettering in my, I was taught if you don't want to do it, don't put it in your portfolio. There are no crosses or flags in my portfolio because I don't want to do them.
Right.
And people ask me to do them all the time.
I'm actually going to burn my portfolio tonight because I have some stuff in there that I do.
It's got its pros and its cons though, because now people assume I can't. So I actually I went broke for a hot minute because I didn't have my black and gray in my portfolio, didn't have my lettering, my crosses, my tribals, all that shit you did when you were an apprentice. Like it was just my top 15 favorite pieces I've done. That's all you need. You need 15 examples of your work is all it should take to sell or chase somebody away. But the problem is if they don't see it, they assume you can't do it.
Right. And I agree with that. Now, say like my portfolio, for example, I don't have any lettering at all or any like white girl tattoos at all in my portfolio. And I have a 6-month waiting list right now. And I've had clients that come in, and it happened recently. They wanted like the fucking dandelion or whatever it was and an infinity symbol, just like some real basic white girl Pinterest shit, Yep. And I remember in the console, I explained to them, I'm like, hey, this isn't really the kind of stuff that I do. Like we have plenty of other artists here that have sooner availability. Like we can get you in with, one of our newer up and coming artists that will do a very fantastic job on this for you. The quality will be there. Everything will be there. They can get you in next week, or you can pay more, wait longer, and I'll do it for you.
Right.
And then there's some people, and I appreciate the shit out of these people because they are the ones that help me continue to do what I do.
Right. They're the diehards.
They're
ride or dies.
diehards, and they're like, no, I want you to do it. I'm going to wait for you to do it. But also at the same time, I appreciate that a lot. But why? Why do you want me to do something that is not who I am?
That's the weirdness. And I tell people all the time, it's like, you're the only one that's ever going to tattoo me. And I'm like, that's so awesome, but bad.
At the same time,
you should be going around and collecting. That's what it's all about. It's about getting what you want, but it's about getting it with another person's art style with it.
Do you only have one artist work that's hanging up in your house?
Right? No, you don't. Like
I
you love
have
the way
multiple
Van Gogh
artists
painted stars,
on
and
each wall.
yeah, like that's the thing. Like if all comic books were drawn by the same fucker, it'd be pretty boring.
Right.
But you like seeing different iterations of Batman, Like, well, I like how, Joey Mazzarino, whatever, drew Batman, or blah, 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 is my favorite Batman. Or even like a Spider-Man when Todd McFarlane took over, he got way more dynamic. Still, you're good with Spidey. You never imagined it, but now that you see it, you'll love it. That's what it's like going to other people.
And Todd McFarlane, you know my feelings on Todd McFarlane. He is an idol of mine.
Cue angel music. Do you have angel music?
Wait. Oh, no,
Nope.
no, wrong one.
There you go.
Todd McFarlane. One more time. Okay. It's just the cherub up in the clouds playing the harp, you know, and the little bells and everything. But, you know, so I guess, you know, things that we touched on today, I'm optimistic that the industry will survive and that it'll, you know, find some good people to hold the torch and carry it forward. But, and to a degree, I'm with you on, I'm scared shitless of the direction it's going, because we have somebody in our shop that I shake my head at daily because I am terrified. Like, this person's the next generation. What the fuck are they gonna do?
Not much.
No.
Not much.
But
And then it just takes a group of 10 lazy tattoo artists to put their work out there that makes the clients want that shit too. Like, everything's becoming, all tattoos done right now will not survive like a year.
no.
It's fine line. It's that ugly pepper shading. I'm sorry, anyone who does it, I know people do it. You shade with your liner. It is flat. It is boring. It is valueless. There's no contrast. It's like everything about art is being sucked away from it because it's quick, cheap, and easy and can be done small.
Now, I agree mostly with you on that. And I just want to clarify that I think what you're referring to as far as like the pepper shading that's not going to hold up with the value, it's usually always the fucking peonies that have like the dotted, examples. There are some artists out there, and I'm going to name drop this guy right now because I just fucking love him. John Nelson from Borrowed Time Tattoo in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I met him in Philly, and he's so awesome. He's a super cool guy. But he does all of his black and gray shading with a 3-round liner.
Is he doing multiple tones?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then I'll have to look him up, obviously.
His stuff is fire, man.
And again, it's like watercolor. I'm sure someone out there is doing it right, but a lot of people are doing it wrong. And the thing, and again, it's preference. It's all personal preference.
But it's what's trending. And I think that's where client education is important. That's why I want to bitch about all this stuff. So
I know.
So,
but then you're just the asshole.
I don't care. I want people to think it's
we're
cool
not
to be
educating.
that
We're just
asshole.
putting other people down. We're just doing it because we can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just dumb. Like when I look at something, I want to see. This is just preference. I like seeing weight, shape, dimension to images within a tattoo.
Value.
Like, so in smooth color blends or gradients, I want to see black and the lightest gray wash possible. I want to see contrast. Now it's just a skinny little outline of a flower that's never going to hold up after your first beach trip to Florida. And then that bullshit like liner, and it either the dots are so spaced out that it just looks dirty, or they're so close together that after it heals, it just looks like you did it with a mag anyway. But it's one value. There's no contrast, no shape, no form. I can't look like I can reach down and like squeeze it.
Right.
Because it's just flat and boring, but it's cheap.
You know what's funny is I just recently was able to hang out with my mentor that was mostly responsible for my tattoo education, Eric Mitchell. And I got to hang out with him. He took 10 years off from the industry, and he got into the cannabis industry, and he wasn't tattooing for 10 years. And now he's getting back into the tattoo industry, and it's totally fucking different. So, and he said to me, he was looking at some stuff. He was looking at some modern day like pepper shading stuff. And he's like, wait a second. Back in my day, if you could see the dots from the needles, that was bad.
It was bad.
And he's like, now they're telling me that this is good? He's like, this shit makes no sense. He's like, he's like in that episode of The Twilight Zone. He's like, what the fuck's going on?
It's turned inside out. Like it used to be about, line weights and line sculpting to help push dimension and separate details. Now it's the skinniest. If you pulled lines like that, my mentor would have broke my hand.
Yeah.
Like that line's not going to hold.
No saturation. People aren't using enough black in their tattoos.
And to
hold it
those
up
that
over-
do it, I know it. They look pretty. I'm not saying it's wrong. This is all just my personal preference.
Nobody just nobody is concerned about tattoo longevity anymore.
That's the thing too. I don't want to bring up vaccines, but like you need testing. Take a vaccine. What happens 10 years after the vaccine? Same with these tattoos. They look great now. Sure, they look great 6 months from now. What happens in a year?
Exactly.
Because it's crazy. People are like, I'm not going to worry about 3 years down the road. Dude, this tattoo is like almost 20 years old.
And it still looks great.
Like,
it could use a freshen it up, but
I'm going to go to Angie to do it.
You can tell what it is.
But like all of my tattoos are over 2 years old.
Oh yeah.
It happens. You age
But
really fast, people.
They all hold their imagery well.
To a degree. Like this is a perfect example. Sorry, those who can't see. Which parts of these hold up really well and which parts don't?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's barely anything. This is almost invisible to me. This is almost invisible to me. But this is
It's where you have your contrast.
You
it's
have
where you
your
have your
darks,
weight.
your blacks, your weights, your contrast. Yeah, all that stuff.
It's a great tattoo.
It's just some of it's needed. But like when you get back here, like I'm not going to name names. This person dipped every color in white first. Why?
Weird.
I don't know. But that's why you get this kind of soft. And if that's what he was going for, great. That's not what I want.
No.
I like dynamic and punchy.
So like, that back part of your forearm there, for anybody that can't see, he's got like a pyramid with like some brickwork and everything like that. But there's not enough black contrast in there to support that.
And also no light
Without
source.
it.
So look, right here is where this pyramid splits. So one side of the wall should be darker than the other
Exactly.
side, but it's not.
But
It's just like a flat triangle.
Exactly. There's not the values there in order
Yeah.
to support it for the longevity.
No
over
light
time.
source,
and
no
then it all
drop
kind
shadows.
of blends into everything else you have going on there.
Yeah.
But then you have this great contrast on the top of your hand. Did Frank do that?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great tattoo.
Everyone look up Frank Linatra.
And he's such a nice guy too.
He's amazing. And he's a great person because he told me, he's like, I tell anybody anything. They can ask me any question I want because I know in the next amount of years, I'm out. And
Right.
why would I leave with all this information? I have to pass down the torch.
What is it that he calls it? It's the ultimate guest spot or something like that.
The epic guest spot.
The epic guest spot. And he was telling me about it when I met him in Detroit this year. You weren't able to be there, and I told him that you said hello. And he was like, "Oh, Jordan Day."
That was amazing because he was like my number one hero icon, and I got to meet him. And I have his phone number in my phone. I can text him whenever I want. We're friends, and it's the greatest experience.
And he's giving you amazing like advice and guidance.
Like I can send him my drawing, and he'll, like a teacher, take pencils and
circle
and
with a red pen.
But here's a great piece of advice too that he told me, and the beginning of every great tattoo starts with a good drawing. He said, if you give a good drawing to a bad tattoo artist, it's going to be a decent tattoo. If you give a bad drawing to a good tattoo artist, it's still going to be bad. He is so focused on the drawing, the concept, all that. Because even in his seminars, people were like demanding their money back because they weren't teaching him how he color blends and how he does. And he's like, it doesn't matter.
No, and I agree with that.
This drawing is what makes you go, ooh.
It's the composition.
It's just like when people are like, oh, I love your tattoos. What kind of machine do you use? 'Cause I think if I use your machine, I'm gonna get cool blends like you do.
Right.
Like
it really has nothing to do with the equipment. And I'm all about, I love equipment. I love new things. I'm such a whore for a new machine.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to play with new toys.
I love having new toys.
But having that,
you don't need
mindset of, well, if I use the machine Frank used, I mean, that's business. That's how people sell all day.
Yeah.
You know, LeBron wears these shoes. I can too. And I can jump faster and run higher or whatever.
Live longer.
Yeah.
But the equipment has nothing to do with it. You know, granted, having a good tool for the job makes your day a little better, but it's not necessary. I could probably plug in a freaking lunchbox power supply with the old fucking California cutback Spalding Rogers machine, still do a badass tattoo today.
I tell
with
people I've done my best tattoos with T-Tech needles.
Yeah. I'm
and
not
those
gonna,
are like the dullest needle you could ever get.
I'm not gonna like it, but I can do it.
But yeah, like it doesn't matter. I've done so many great tattoos with shit machines, and I've done shit tattoos with great machines. It doesn't matter.
You gotta slow down, and you
just got to get back to the basics. Like that drawing
that's what I'm saying.
is key.
That's what I'm saying.
Colors are key. Blends. Get back to. We're trying to like. I don't want to say this. Like you're over reinventing the wheel so much that you're making the product bad.
Right. It's not a wheel anymore.
Yeah, reel it in a little bit.
Yeah. And that's what, I'm trying to do with this podcast is bitch about some stuff, shine some light on some stuff, get some input from other people and how they feel about things going on in the industry.
18 years of aggression to get out in a 1 hour podcast.
Oh, we're a little beyond that, but we're going to wrap it up here in a minute anyway. But I just want to hear everybody's point of view and then put it all out there. Maybe it'll help. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll piss people. Maybe it'll make it worse.
Knows?
I don't, it's
you never
whatever.
know unless you try.
Exactly.
You only got to reach
there.
that one person. Gabe. That's it.
I'll end on this, on what you just said there, and we'll wrap things up. I always wanted to, when I was younger, I wanted to be a rock star so bad. I wanted to be like fucking Van Halen, shredding on guitar and everything like that. And I was very passionate about it. I obviously never became a rock star because you guys all suck for not making me a rock star.
I know, right?
But
shame on you.
I did inspire somebody with the amount of passion I had for that. And they didn't become Disturbed or anything, but they went very, very, very far in the music industry. They toured the entire world. They've put out so many great albums. And they came to me, and they're way better guitarists than I am today. Way better. They are dope. And they're like, you're the reason why I wanted to play guitar and everything. I'm like, what? Why? I suck. I suck compared to you. They're
right.
like, you just made it look so cool and you got me into it. And thank you for that. And I realized at that moment, like, the next generation, you just inspire that one person to do something great is all you really need to worry about.
And that's really the best sensation ever. That's all I really want. Look at all my TikTok, my puppet, my I want to just inspire someone.
Yeah.
I want to motivate someone.
Maybe you
will do that.
Will create the next Jim Henson.
No, I will be the next Jim Henson. Someone else can be the next Mr. Rogers.
Leave it to the next, coked up guy or whatever Mr. Rogers got in trouble for.
A little bit of everything.
But let's be hopeful for that in the future, hopefully with both of our careers.
Let's be hopeful and positive.
After bitching.
Yeah,
let's get all that out first, so
but
then we're not
still
carrying
have horrible taste in movies. On that note,
whatever. You should really watch Renfield. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I need to.
It's pretty good. But so thanks for coming and bitching about shit with me.
It was my pleasure. I will bitch anytime.
How can everybody find you on social media?
If you climb to the tip of the top of the highest mountain and pick a rare blue flower, you take that blue flower to a monk, he will tell you.
Awesome.
I am on Instagram at Jordan's Tattoons, and I'm on Facebook at Jordan. And you can find me on Electric Chair. My last name is too long.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wanted to open that can of worms just so people could just sit out there and like try to. Okay,
everyone
how do you
listening
spell
on
that?
your phone, spell Grakuskas.
I'll put some links.
Yeah.
I'll put some fucking links and
And
stuff.
TikTok is Jordy and Allie's Place, all one word.
That's for
the puppeteering.
Puppeteering and stuff. I only care about that. Your tattoos suck. No.
No, I agree.
All right, man. Thanks for coming and being on my stupid ass podcast. I still don't have a name for it
pleasure.
yet.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Later, everyone. Keep listening.